We are city councilors at large are running this year. And so we ask you to go out and vote on September 12th in the primaries. Our people don't vote in the primaries. They don't think they're important. But a lot of races are won and lost in the primaries. But before I go on, I'm going to do a plug for my book. I look back and wonder how I got over. I'm going to tell you a little story about my book. This weekend at the NAACP events, we did a tour of Mattapan, Dorchester, and Roxbury. And I stopped in Mattapan was at 820 Cummins Highway. Our stop in Dorchester was at the Freedom House. And our stop was in Roxbury at the Frugal Bookstore. And so because my book is in Frugal Bookstore, I told the people that were there from all over that my book was in that store. And some of them purchased my books. And when we went over to Nubian Market, I had a little mini book signing. So that was good. I was glad. One lady, I think, bought 2 books. I believe she was from Texas. And another woman brought a book. She was from Arizona. And so it was good to meet these people who had been with the NAACP for a long time. But I'm just going to say it. We need new leadership in the NAACP. We need people to really get involved. It only costs it's a very small fee to join the NAACP. And as a civil rights organization, I believe that we should be more supportive of the NAACP. We say that we don't know what they do, but if we're not members, we will never know what they do. And so I believe that the conference was good. Convention was good. Unfortunately, I couldn't be. The only time I was able to attend was on Sunday afternoon for a little while. But it was very nice. It was beautiful, and I'm sure it boosted our economy as well as maybe some of our young folks. I know some of our young folks won the AXO program, and so I would, say thank you to the NAACP. Thank you, Tanisha Sullivan. Thank you, Michael Curry. Thank you for all the other people that participated in this convention. But now that the convention is over, we need to have some real talk, for real. So I can't wait to the next NAACP meeting, because I will be there, if it's virtual or in person, because we have to hold our leadership accountable. Things that are going on in the city. Last night we were at a meeting at the Brook High School, and there were probably about maybe 100 people in the audience and over 100 on Zoom. And we want to know why the BMC thinks that putting 851 units, moving mass and cast to Franklin Park to the Shattuck. I mean, there was a representative from BMC, and I don't know if they did set the meeting. I know Diane Wilkerson, she asked him to let's have a meeting right there. All the elected officials that were there did not agree with the proposal, as did the community. Unfortunately, what happens in the city is that they make decisions downtown that affect us, and then after the decision is made, after it's a dead done deal, then they come up to us and we're having we invited the community. We're having a community meeting after the fact. They need to have community meetings before the fact. We need to be at the table in all situations that affect us. But you know what? If we don't get out and vote, they don't listen to us. They will not listen. And unfortunately, this is what we're going through here in Boston. Our black and brown people, we have to get out and vote. White people vote. Asian people vote. Hispanic people vote. Why don't black people vote? People died so that we could vote. And it's just a shame. People say, oh, my vote don't count. The only time your vote don't count is when you don't cast it. And so I would everybody that's listening, I would ask that you would go to the polls on September 12th. People have talked about having voting on Saturday or Sunday. Early voting is good. Vote by mail is good. By any means necessary, but we have to be counted, people. We have to be counted. Even if you don't like none of the candidates, blank them. But at least you will be counted, because once you go and sign your name, then you're counted. Don't say you don't have time to vote, because that's why we don't get the services that we need and want, because they ignore us if we don't vote. So I'm appealing to everybody. If you're 18, register to vote and then go to the polls. It's okay to be registered, but then you got to go to the polls. In the last couple of years, I haven't seen a lot of our get out the vote things, but I know that they are happening. However, we just have to be a force to be dealt with. And the only way we're going to do that is if we unite. So I'm asking you all to go out and vote on September the 12th. The general election is November the 7th, I believe. So I am up at Franklin Park, Playhouse in the Park on Tuesdays. I have a table for voter registrations. And you can vote. You don't even have to fill out a paper application if you don't want. You can go right to where do I register to vote .mass, I believe. I have, you know what? Oh, Michelle, could you go to the car and get me one of them that we had? Thank you. I'm going to read it exactly. Where do I register to vote .mass? I believe that's it, but I'm going to have Michelle go get the paper. Because we could register to vote on our phones now or on our computers. And that is good, but I don't really think that we understand how important it is. We have to lobby, like Tanya, City Council Tanya Anderson was saying last night. We gotta lobby our elected officials. We gotta, I don't want to say the word lobby, but we have to advocate for ourselves. So by doing that, we have to know who our city councilors are, know what they are not doing. And we all have 5. We have 5 city councils. We have 1 district city council and 4 at large. And the at large, there will not be a primary for the at large. The at large is going to November the 7th, because I believe there's not enough people to do the primary. So November 7th will we elect city councilors at large. And so we know that one of these people running for the at large seat is going to win, because Mike Flaherty is not running. So Mike Flaherty is leaving and Frank Baker is leaving. So that's 2 open seats. So please, people, get out and vote. Let your voices be heard. So, with that being said, we are the people and we do have the power. That's where our power is. So yesterday we were talking about the 851 units that they want to put in Franklin Park. So Senator Wilkerson said, why don't they put them in Boston Common? They're close to the they're close to the T. Thank you, Michelle. Okay, so register to vote ma.com. Register to vote ma.com. So it's REGISTOVOTEMA.com. And you can go right there online and vote. What is up for election this year? Your city officials are on the ballot. Your ballot might include voting for mayor, not mayor, but city councilor and city councilors at large. Next year, not next year, 2025, I believe, will be the next mayor election. Why should you vote? Elections can be won or lost by even a single vote. And we know that because city council at large, Julia Mejia, won by one vote. In a city of over 700 people, 700,000 people, she won by one vote. And one thing I can say about Julia is Julia shows up, Julia delivers, and Julia is a powerful advocate for our community. And so I appreciate her. Why should you vote? Okay, elections can be won or lost by even a single vote. Your vote is your voice on issues like housing, transportation, policing, and childcare. You can exercise your power to make sure your voice is heard. The general election, is on Tuesday, November 7th. But the primary is September the 12th. So there's no excuse why you can't register to vote. And there's really no excuse why you can't get out and vote. Now, I would like to see, a lot of times, sometimes we can't get our people to the polls. They say they'll vote for us, but do we have a plan to get them to the polls? So I would like to make a suggestion to the churches that actually have vans, and it would be nice if we could come up with a collaborative effort for some of these churches to allow either their deacons or their trustees, whoever drives their vans on Sundays and during the week, if they would use their vans to pick up people who need rides to the polls. I mean, we could have a central location where people could call in if they needed rides to the polls. And I would ask that you would call in before that Monday or Tuesday. So we're going to try to talk to maybe at the next clergy meeting that we have with the city. Maybe we can ask some of the pastors if they would do that. Because I know that there are churches that have 1, 2, 3 vans. But it would be nice, because that's another problem. Our people, they want to vote, but our seniors, sometimes they can't get to the polls. And some senior homes, though, buildings do have voters, they can vote right in their building, but not all. And we are unfortunate, we are losing people every day. Just found out about another friend just today. Teresa Bass, just lost her sister Carol Bass and her grandson this summer. And so it's just every day we hear about people that we love that are leaving this world. And so we have to be ready, people. We have to be ready, because we don't know when our last breath. We could be here today and gone today. And so I would invite you all, if you don't know Jesus, you need to get to know him, because he's real. He's real in my life. He's been keeping me. I've been dealing with a lot in the last few months, emotionally, dealing with loss. But I know that God is able, and I know that he is real, and I know that he will do just what he said he will do. And so we have to get ready. We have to be ready. We have to love our neighbors as ourselves. And we have to stop backbiting. We have to learn how to love and forgive people. Why do we keep holding on to grudges? Why do, someone do something to you? Why do you have to hold on to it for years? It doesn't make any sense. The Bible talks to us about forgiving, How can we expect God to forgive us if we don't forgive our people, our neighbors? All of us, especially black people, we suffer from trauma. We suffer from dysfunctional households. We suffer from the effects of slavery. We suffer from the effects of racism. And it's just like people are like, they don't believe it. They say there's no racism. They say, oh, slavery, get over it. How are you going to get over 400 years of oppression and suppression and depression? How? And they talk about reparations. Yes, we need reparations. Yes, we should have reparations. We built this country free. We don't know how many people died coming over here, being stolen from their country, their native land. Millions. And then when they got here, they were treated like animals. I guess that's why they say we were 3/5 of a person when they wrote the Constitution. That's what needs to be changed, our Constitution. But are there senators in Congress that are willing to do that? I can't believe Donald Trump has 54% of people want him back in office. Really. I think as we speak, he's being indicted for the third time. Really. I mean, wake up, people. Wake up. We have to speak up and speak out. A lot of us, I don't know what it is. If it's fear, that's the issue. Because God didn't give us no spirit of fear. He gave us power, love, and a sound mind. Is it because we don't know what to do? Well, if you don't know what to do, ask somebody. But we have to be involved. We have to get involved and stay involved. It's very concerning. Our young folks are dying at an early age. We are burying our children every day. And it's sad. It's very sad. And I can't believe all the things that are going on. Mass and caste is a disgrace. Because you know why? Because first of all, our mayor, this ain't the first time since she became mayor that she knew about mass and caste. Why wasn't something done prior? We had the same city council, some of the same city councils for 10, 15, 20 years. It's a disgrace with all the money that's in Boston and Massachusetts. I want to give kudos to Mara Haley. I'm going to have to get her on my show. She gave the T folks a raise. I hear people are leaving the city and going to work for the state, which is good because they're getting more money. And so call me 617-282-0685. You got something to say, or you have an opinion, or you want to talk. I'm waiting for my guest. She's late. Hopefully she will make it. But if she doesn't, I'm not gonna invite her back no more. No, sir. I love Tanya Anderson because she is for real. She is for real. She showed us that budget. Did I send you the copy of the budget, Pastor? I think I sent it to you. You just probably hadn't had a chance to read it. Who has time to read a 72-page document, right? But there's some interesting things in that budget. There's some interesting things. It shows, that we in Roxbury and Dorchester and Mattapan are not appreciated, and we're not valued. And I would suggest that we come together. We got the block. The block is, I don't know what the block is doing. However, we do need voices at the table. I don't know what, I believe the next city council hearing is next Wednesday, but I'm not for sure because I think in the summertime, I don't even know if they meet on Wednesdays. I think for the last 3 Wednesdays, I've been calling down there and there's been no city council hearing, so. But hopefully they'll come back. But I go to Franklin Park every Tuesday, and I don't know how many people are up there. Wouldn't it be nice if all those people that be up there at Franklin Park on Tuesday nights came to City Hall or came to the State House and to the hearings? I can't believe. Do I have a caller? Good morning, caller.
All right. How you doing? This is Jamal Crawford calling.
Hey, Jamal, how you doing? Good
All right,
morning.
all right.
Good
I just
morning.
wanted to chime in because I heard you talking about the forgiveness and the holding the grudges and all this type of thing, and you know what I mean.
Mm-hmm.
To me, there's different levels of that. So obviously, within your own family or friends or something like that, there's things that could get worked out. There's also some things that can't get worked out. If Uncle Freddie been the molester in the family, there might need to be a different approach. You know what I mean?
Right.
And same thing in our community.
Mm-hmm.
Because this has happened to me, as throughout my time, doing activism and organizing. I've had my fair share of disagreements, altercations, all these type of different things, right?
Yes.
And in some of that, people will say, well, Brother Jamal, why can't you get with so-and-so? Why can't you get with Freddie? Or why can't you get with Sally? Or whatever it is, right?
Mm-hmm.
And unfortunately, the thing that is, and I've talked about this before in the whole concept of entire unity, the thing that prevents at least a guy like me from getting with some of these people is that they're doing decrepit things. And so forgiveness and like the repair, all of that has to come, in my view, from what I've learned, from people who acknowledge that they've been doing something crooked, right?
Mm-hmm.
Then B, they seek to get better, right? Mm-hmm. And if they did it publicly, it needs to be dealt with publicly and all this type of thing and all that. But that's the part I don't see. So I'm all down for repairing and forgiveness or whatnot. But for instance, in my view, I can't forgive nobody who ain't even asked for an apology. That's number one. And some of these people are still conducting and acting in the same manner of what the problem is.
All right,
and you
Jamal.
can take
I don't want to cut you, but my guest is here. And
she got there. I thought I was saving you. You good?
Yeah, thank you.
Y'all go ahead.
I appreciate you though, Jamal. And
It's all good. Y'all good.
Okay. Have a blessed day.
We can talk later.
All right.
All right. Peace.
Bye bye. Good morning, City Councilor Tanya Anderson. You made it. How are you?
Good morning. So happy to be here with you.
I'm glad that you came. I'm glad that you made it. I was getting ready. Well, don't say she's gonna stand me up twice.
No, forgive me. Forgive me.
I know sometimes traffic and different things happen, but I am so blessed that you were here. And I was just talking to keep, talking to you guys. And I was saying how I love you because, the fact that you're doing what you were elected to do, and the fact that you actually displayed the budget and told us, broke it down, the fact that you were able to get people to help you to present a very thorough analysis of what is going on in the city as it relates to our money.
Thank you so much, Sister Priscilla. I love you too. I'm humbled by your kind words. The work is always measuring how much progress you've made and reviewing your approach and your strategy, and then questioning yourself, can I do it better, or where can I improve? So I'm really humbled by your words. Thank you so much.
So tell us, I know it's an election year, but just give our listening audience some of the things that you have done since you have been elected. Is this just going into your second term, or your third?
Second.
Second. Okay.
My tenure so far has been about a year and a half.
Okay, so you've done some good things in a year and a half.
Thank you.
So I appreciate that. So tell us what actually. I know you were working with the folks on at Northeastern University. I know you asked for a moratorium around the building, the housing, and I know that you didn't say let's just stop altogether. It's basically let's pause. right? And let's see what's going on, because it's just the housing situation in Boston to me just does not make any sense at all. There is just too much building going on, and who's going to be able to live here? Who are they building the city for?
Right. Yeah. So far, I've been trying to. When I was running for office, I was thinking about the needs of the people in District 7. And as I was door knocking, I would take notes. I would literally take notes in Vote Builder and adjust their phone numbers or information, because then how are you going to reach them, right? And as they kept telling me, of course, housing is number one. We do have a huge housing crisis, as you've stated. And then I heard a lot about seniors, lack of services with seniors, especially just feeling lonely and not having friends or people to visit, or just to be able to go outside and decompress and just enjoy their day. Third, I would hear a lot about jobs and trainings. Where are the trades for Black and brown people? Where are good opportunities for upper mobility, and of many other issues. Then I started putting together what I called the District 7 treatment plan. And it's a treatment plan because it's sort of like a crisis plan where you have your goals and you have measurable objectives, and you have a system, metrics to actually monitor or measure progress. That encompassed the anti-displacement project with Northeastern University. I talked a lot about collaborating with already existing resources, whether it be the city, universities, hospitals, nonprofits, to be able to execute my work. The anti-displacement project with Northeastern was with the architect design studio. Professor Song was the professor that I partnered with, and her students were able to study, survey the community, constituents, and artists to figure out what it would look like to create housing ecosystems in the city of Boston. That encompassed, of course, revitalizing our business corridors and business districts, as well as placemaking. So looking at the inventory that Mayor Wu mentioned that she was going to put together, and activating, but placemaking as in placekeeping. So that means development with intentions of equity. And it would all contribute to a housing ecosystem, because then you could develop quality facilities that supported our social determinants of health. Then we went on to doing some asset mapping of District 7, understanding exactly what the assets are in the strength-based approach, but also what are the deficits. And there you could understand how to extend the Roxbury Strategic Master Plan, but you can't call it a master plan until you fully engage community. So I understand that civic engagement was an issue, and I've partnered with BU to do an app, and we're launching it next month. As you know, I put together the District 7 Advisory Council, which essentially is the civic leaders of all civic associations and neighborhood groups and stakeholders that come together every week, and you're a part of it, who actually look at policy and workshop ideas and look at strategies that are the best practices for District 7. And so this app is going to be tested by the Advisory Council, my immediate subjects, and then give feedback in order for us to improve it. It not only provides resources, but it gives you updates on the council. It gives you a consolidated schedule of District 7, consolidated development schedule, but also an accountability page for a 311, so that your constituent service inquiries could go directly to an app, and you can say 311 hasn't gotten back to me in my office to follow up, to just streamline this approach. On my website, when I ran, I talked about reforming Article 80 and creating this incubator that just gave one streamlined approach for the process, community engagement. And So in the app, you'd actually go to a page that developers would have to answer specific questions, and everyone would see who is opposed, who is not, as opposed to it be having a deadline and then removing it from the site. It would always live there, so that people can always go back to it and follow up with community benefits. The District 7 constituents also put together a board, nonprofit, which they're getting ready to officiate, that mitigates community benefits from development. And this is specifically for entrepreneurs or small businesses supporting small businesses. As you know, small businesses hire the majority of Black and brown people. And so this is a direct driver of how we are supporting our economy, and we should be able to fight displacement on a commercial level as well. Fighting displacement as well on a climate level means that we're creating open spaces. We are looking at responsible development, but we're also looking at how we're adding trees, and we're creating other ways for carbon to decrease carbon emission. So we're not just looking at, as you said, stopping development. We're looking to slow it down. As a city, we have to continue to develop. You know that we need to develop, but how are we doing that equitably, racially equitably? But also, how are we doing that responsibly, or that it makes sense on a holistic level, so that you have a housing ecosystem? If you send your child to school, quality education means that you have a full campus with facilities that complement that educational experience. If you are living somewhere, it should be the same. Your facilities in the surrounding areas should complement your living.
Hmm. So right, so you shouldn't just have like McDonald's all over the place, right? You should have good places where you could get good food. If you know, I mean, fast food is just, there's about 5 or 6 McDonald's from Mattapan Square to downtown, but a lot of other areas you don't see a whole bunch of McDonald's. You know, I was glad to be able to go to Nubian markets last week. The food was very good. You know, so I mean, and it's Black owned.
Shout out to Newbie Markets.
Yes, and also Yellis, you eat like you should. Love their food. They were also on the tour. They provided food. I love their food.
Yes.
Tracy, she's just amazing. You
Yes.
know, and also the Juice Up in Mattapan. So those were 3 of the places
Yes.
that we went to on the tour.
Fantastic.
And so, were you able to participate in the some of the NAACP things?
Just about everything.
Good.
Just
I'm
about
glad.
everything. It was a exciting, exuberating, exhaustive week, and I am so grateful to take part in it. Shout out to every single member and volunteers and people behind the scene, because that's a huge undertaking, and it was
Yeah.
executed just wonderfully, at least from my perspective.
Yeah, I couldn't attend everything, but I did get down there one day. But I still think that now that it's over, we do need to really look at leadership in the NAACP, and we really need to see how the NAACP can really be a force in Boston to help us deal with some of the things that we're dealing with, because it's civil rights, and a lot of our civil rights are being not listened to. People, you know, we say we want to elect a school committee, right? We vote and we say we want to elect a school committee, but our mayor doesn't think that we should have one, and so I have an issue with that, because we voted for that, you know. So how do we like when we do vote for stuff, right? How do we make sure that it gets enforced? That the law. Well, it would help if our city councilors, like if we had like city councils that actually worked together and agreed. Maybe if we had, and I'm not going to even say if we had more Black city councilors, because some of them vote against us too. So it doesn't. I'm not concerned right now about the color of the skin. I'm concerned more about who is going to get the work done for us, because right now it's sad. What's going on. The Blue Hub Capital stuff that's going on with these people taking people's houses. The fact of the 400 units that Boston Water and Sewer owns, which I don't know how they got them after they stole them from us. The parking lots that the 400 units that she wants to give away to developers over there across from Boston Water and Sewer.
The Boston Water and Sewer parcel, there's a community process going on now to basically work with community to understand exactly what people want in order to create an RFP. And I think that BPDA is almost at the point where they're going to put it out. I apologize if it's already out. And I do believe that this process was exemplary of what community engagement should look like in development. The RFP will include rent-to-own building, the 1/3, 1/3, 1/3 policy that Mayor's Office of Housing implements often with housing.
That was Chuck Turner's idea.
I see. Thank you. Thank you. Learn something new every day.
Mm-hmm.
And I know that shout out to, folks that are obviously advocates on the ground that are obviously pushing this forward. And the other building is going to be a senior building. My ask was specifically that it was a mix. So a senior building and the rent to own was a policy that I filed. So I'm excited to see, and rent to own specifically, hopefully to be at 60%, starting at 60% AMI.
Okay, rent to own. So how does that work? How is that going to work?
So basically that it should be a partnership with a developer, a nonprofit, and the city. And that if the city invests a certain percentage, that hopefully the mortgage is going to be set at a very low rate. So it's working with renters to accrue some sort of like interest that goes towards a down payment, as well as shared costs like, condo fees and stuff like that.
Is this around? Is this the same as the deed restriction stuff, or is this separate? Because rent to own seems different than the deed restrictions.
Well, deed restrictions you just purchase, and deed restriction just means that there's some restriction on the deed, and so you can apply it to anything, right? I think that with the rent to own, there has to be some restriction. I don't believe that the deed restrictions that currently exist are fair or equitable. I think that Mayor's Office of Housing, Sheila Dillon, is working hard at looking at this policy and looking at how to make it more equitable.
But didn't they say, did I not hear that they wanted to raise it to 50 years?
I was told, I questioned this, and I was told the response was that it's not accurate.
Okay. Because that doesn't even make good sense. To have someone have a deed restriction on the house for 50 years?
Yeah, like I guess when you look at, mortgage, but I'm not sure where that came from. And I think I'll just leave it at that because I don't know enough about what happened in that conversation. But I think that there has to be some restriction because when you look at Koreatown, for example, and other areas in Oakland.
Where?
Oakland.
Okay.
In other areas like in California,
Mm-hmm.
when they did not do deed restrictions,
Mm-hmm.
If I'm investing in something and I liquidate that asset and I'm able to liquidate that asset and I buy $400,000 and you tell me I can sell it for $1 million, I'm going to do it.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
I understand that part. I understand that.
So I think that the point is to make it more, moderate, so that families can liquidate their assets. Families can create generational wealth, and be able to, cash in their equity and invest or send their kids to college or buy, purchase something smaller or whatever. I'm just saying that there should be a restriction so that it doesn't incentivize people to sell right away.
And I understand
because that
part.
does
Mm-hmm.
perpetuate,
yeah, definitely
gentrification
yes,
at an even faster rate.
right.
However, it should not be as harsh as it is now.
Right. I think, from what I understand, it may be 20 years. I'm not for sure, but I still think that's a long time. I mean, 5 to 10 years, maybe 10 at the max. Maybe leave it at 10 because by then, you know that you're gonna be there. You
But
know.
maybe it's 20, and maybe it's allowing people to borrow against it.
Well, yeah, if they can borrow against it, but the way it's set now, you can't even borrow against it. You know.
Right.
I mean, that's one of the. As Warren Buffett said, there's two ways to get wealth: inherit or property, purchase property. You know, so if you purchase a property and you feel like, you know, in 20 years, you know, my child's gonna be going to college and I'll be able to borrow, and then they say, oh no, you can't. You know, so what do? So you've been a renter for 20 years without knowing it, basically.
Yeah, I mean, I think that, reminds me of the idea. I've been working with Shigonidu, the chief of economic development, now economic opportunity and inclusion, and
I don't know. They keep changing the name, but nothing much changes.
new administration,
Yeah.
new ideas and innovation. So that's not a bad thing, in my opinion. But so Chief Idowu has put out a contract that would study, that would bring about a study for life insurance need in Black and brown communities. And so life insurance, I know it's not something that not all of us think about, but I think that it's definitely a way for us to have some sort of, plan for our families. And I'm not saying, this is the answer for the chaos. I'm saying we should have plans no matter what. And if we know that, in our community, we are not always set up to handle the responsibilities after death. After our loved ones pass, we should be able to be set up. And I think that other communities have used this, and it's been also a way to leave some cushion for families as well.
Through the deed restriction.
Life insurance.
The life insurance. Okay. So you say, so what do you, I mean, I understand how life insurance works. So what does Chief Idowu want to do?
He put out a contract. I worked with him to put out a contract to do a study to assess the need for Black and brown families to attain life insurance.
Yeah, I believe, because a lot of our families, unfortunately, we use not Facebook, what is it? Where you go and borrow what is it? Where you collect money. What is it called? Huh?
Oh,
GoFundMe.
crowdfunding.
Yeah. So, I mean, and that seems to be the way that unfortunately a lot of us do. So, I mean, it would be good to be able to, and I don't know why we don't think about that. Or
Life insurance should be a part of our financial portfolio, right? Like we should be. I'm not an investor. My religious beliefs prevents me from taking part in interest in all that stuff. But and it, if we had policies that were like less, hurtful in terms of interest, then it would be nice for our society too. But that's just me. But just part of your financial portfolio, if you not just investing, life insurance is a really good way to add to your package, as well as understanding overall, how you're diversifying your financial portfolio. So.
Right, and I know that, but sometimes what happens when someone has life insurance, and they some people cash their life insurance in. I've even heard commercials on TV where they say people should turn their life insurance in for something else. That doesn't make any sense, but people cash them out sometimes too.
I worked for a while for John Hancock, and I worked in, in that department with financial portfolios for clients, and a lot of seniors would call crying and just devastated that they thought they had something and they had been fooled to cash it in or to do different things with it, and then at their retirement age, they just to find out that they have no money. So you have to be very careful, and you have to seek a financial advisor to monitor it properly.
Okay. So what other good things have you been doing?
Um, you know, I am really excited about just District 7 overall. And I think that we've been talking about, the R corridor. Um, it's being that Roxbury is the heart of Boston, that in order for us to thrive or pump life into Boston or into Roxbury, that its arteries should be fully thriving. Excuse the corny analogy. Basically, that the business corridors in Roxbury should all be revitalized, and or business fronts should be refaced.
Mm-hmm.
Brand new signs, removing those crates, maybe replacing them with mesh on the inside, more attractive, adding trees, activating those spaces that I talked about to complement and to add to the corridor, but that you should have beautiful spaces. And this is all too, obviously, calling it the artery or the art corridor is by arts, right? By activating or installing art installation. And so we're going to start with the Dudley Town Common. As you know, it's going to be renovated. And so starting there and activating some murals, we have a couple of contracts coming out where consultants can take it on and basically employ or contract muralists and artists and just people in construction to start refacing the surrounding businesses in that block. So looking forward to a ribbon cutting as an example, a physical example of the change that can actually happen to support our economy in District 7. Also, I'm working with Shagun I filed a policy to create a digital marketplace. So it's sort of this idea that you can compete with Amazon or the Grubhubs of the world, and if we take our businesses and hopefully to pilot all the businesses in Roxbury first, being that in District 7 it's the most vulnerable area, that we digitize or that we bring all the businesses on a digital marketplace and with a back office with technical assistance. And basically what this means is that businesses will be fully functioning on the digital marketplace, but also be able to have that back technical assistance. This presents opportunity for cross-marketing ideas and different ways of connecting to the tourism market, being that it's the second driver of revenue in Boston. But there are different ways that we can look at how to revitalize spaces and also make sure that we're bringing it on a digital market in order to, again, compete with what's out there.
Exactly. I always talk about back office, especially with the construction workers, because a lot of these small companies that have their construction workers, they do great work, but when you ask for their paperwork, it's in the shoebox because they don't have that back office experience. So they don't have someone in the back office doing the work. Like they don't have a bookkeeper or they don't have someone that's running their payroll. They basically are doing it themselves. So if there was some technical assistance like that, where you have like 5 plumbers, right? And say they all pitch in, they hire a company or a person to do their bookkeeping, to do their payroll, to do their accounts receivable, do their accounts payable, then they can concentrate on doing the work. And I think that's what it is really needed. And even for other, like some of our nonprofits and stuff,
Yeah. I suggested a customer service sort of office or calling center for small businesses that are most vulnerable.
Hello.
Hey, good morning, Sarah.
Good morning, sister. How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Good, good. Good morning, counselor. How are you?
Good morning, Miss Sarah. How are you?
It's Sarah Flint.
Good morning.
I'm calling. I've been listening to you guys. It's very interesting. And there's some things that, excuse me, some initiatives you brought up that I'm interested in discussing with you further, like the advisory committee you have. I just heard about that. I'm just hearing about that. But I want to commend you and thank you for coming to visit us seniors and your dedication to the seniors. So I know you'll be around tomorrow, so I'll see you then.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, thank you very much.
Well, thank you
And
so much.
Priscilla, I
for-
got to talk to you some about your ideas on the election and so forth.
All right.
Thank
Okay?
you.
All
Thank
right.
you, Ms.
And the
Sarah.
NAACP.
All
Okay,
right.
then thank you. You all have a good day.
You too.
You
Thanks
too.
for calling in.
Yeah, bye.
Bye bye. So, yeah, so you're going to the building tomorrow?
I am.
Okay.
Yes,
all right.
it's
yeah.
exciting. When I go, I usually go to senior centers for about a couple hours. In the election season, you know this. You go and you're just there for like
Yeah.
45 minutes or less.
Take
and
donuts and coffee and candy.
Take donuts and coffee and candy and all the horrible things that you shouldn't.
Yeah, I know.
But this time I was like, well, when I meet with constituents, typically it's like lunchtime or breakfast time. So, you know, obviously we always eat. But the problem with these meetings, these one-offs, they're horrible. So I continued to campaign. I didn't stop. I go to senior centers on Fridays, mosques on Fridays, schools. I used to do school tours on Fridays, as well as business walks. And then on Sundays, I go to churches and I canvass doors. So it didn't stop. It just continued, except I would just do it once a week. And I think that's what has kept me connected to the people on the ground. But seniors are my favorites. I'm sorry for anybody else who is upset about that. And so we sit down, we have lunch, and I have them like telling me all their issues, and basically have my staff follow up with, you know, whatever building, wherever they are. And we just have a just good old time because they're the best.
I know. I have a part of my Marcus Anthony Hall Educational Institute. We have a